In the heart of Africa, under the reign of one man, millions suffered unimaginable horrors. The Congo Free State, ruled by Belgium's King Leopold II, became one of the bloodiest regimes in colonial history. The Congo Free State was not just a colony, but the personal property of King Leopold II of Belgium. Leopold's relentless pursuit of wealth led to the exploitation, suffering, and death of millions of Congolese people. King Leopold II of Belgium, eager to make his country a colonial power, laid claim to the Congo at the Berlin Conference in 1885, securing it as his personal possession. This conference, attended by major European powers, was meant to regulate the colonization and trade in Africa, but it also allowed Leopold to convince other nations of his so-called humanitarian mission. Disguising his rule under the pretense of bringing civilization, Christianity, and ending the slave trade, Leopold presented himself as a benevolent ruler. He promised to improve the lives of the native population by introducing modern education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Missionaries were sent to spread Christianity, and anti-slavery campaigns were publicized to gain international support. However, Leopold's true goal was profit through the extraction of natural resources, particularly rubber and ivory. The Congo was rich in these resources, and the demand for rubber was skyrocketing due to the Industrial Revolution. Workers were forced to extract rubber under brutal conditions, and ivory was harvested to meet the luxury demands of Europe. The exploitation was relentless, and the local population suffered immensely. To maintain control and maximize profits, Leopold created a private army, the Force Publique, to enforce his rule and control the vast region, which was around 76 times the size of Belgium. This army was notorious for its harsh methods, including the use of violence and intimidation to keep the local population in line. The Force Publique was instrumental in ensuring that Leopold's exploitative policies were carried out, leading to widespread atrocities and a legacy of suffering that would haunt the Congo for generations. The global demand for rubber during the late 19th century, driven by the Industrial Revolution, was something Leopold capitalized on by forcing the Congolese to harvest wild rubber. Under a forced labor system, villagers were required to meet impossible quotas under threat of punishment. Failure to collect enough rubber often resulted in brutal consequences. Ivory was also a valuable resource, extracted under similarly harsh conditions, adding to Leopold's immense wealth while the Congolese endured back-breaking labor. The extreme methods of punishment employed by the Force Publique to enforce quotas included violence and mutilation. These soldiers, often recruited from other parts of Africa, were notorious for their ruthless tactics. They were armed and trained to instill fear and obedience among the local population. The Force Publique was not just a military force, it was a tool of terror used to maintain control over the Congolese people. Soldiers were ordered to cut off the hands of those who failed to meet rubber collection targets, leading to the widespread mutilation of men, women, and children. This brutal practice was intended to serve as a gruesome reminder of the consequences of non-compliance. The severed hands were often collected and presented as proof of punishment, creating a culture of fear and submission. The rubber quotas were nearly impossible to meet, and the relentless demand for rubber led to unimaginable suffering. Mass killings, floggings, and hostage-taking were common practices used to force compliance. Entire villages were held hostage to ensure that quotas were met, and any resistance was met with swift and brutal retribution. The Force Publique's methods were designed to break the spirit of the Congolese people, making them too afraid to resist. Public floggings were a common sight, serving as a warning to others of the consequences of defiance. Villages that resisted were often burned to the ground, and entire communities were displaced or wiped out. The destruction of villages was not just a punishment, but a strategy to prevent any form of organized resistance. The scorched earth policy left many homeless and destitute, forcing survivors to flee into the forests or seek refuge in other villages. The systematic destruction of communities ensured that the Congolese people remained fragmented and powerless. During Leopold's reign, the population of the Congo was reduced by an estimated 10 million people due to starvation, disease, exhaustion, and violence. The exploitation of the Congo's resources came at a tremendous human cost. The relentless labor demands, combined with inadequate food and medical care, led to widespread malnutrition and disease. The physical and psychological toll on the population was immense, with entire generations scarred by the brutality of colonial rule. The legacy of Leopold's reign is a stark reminder of the devastating impact of unchecked exploitations and cruelty. The whistleblowers, key figures like British journalist Edmund Dean Morrell and African-American missionary George Washington Williams, were among the first to expose the atrocities in the Congo to the world. Morrell's investigations into the cargo ships coming from the Congo revealed that instead of trading goods, they were filled with rubber and ivory, while the ships going to the Congo carried weapons and chains. Public outcry. Morrell, with the help of influential figures like author Mark Twain and diplomat Roger Casement, led an international campaign to bring awareness to the human rights abuses in the Congo Free State. Their efforts were not just limited to writing and speeches. They organized public demonstrations, lobbied politicians, and used the power of the press to spread their message far and wide. Morrell's relentless pursuit of justice saw him founding the Congo Reform Association, which became a pivotal organization in the fight against the exploitation and abuse in the Congo. The Congo Reform Association played a crucial role in mobilizing public opinion and pressuring governments to take action. They published detailed reports, held public meetings, and collaborated with other humanitarian organizations to amplify their cause. International diplomacy. The campaign also saw significant diplomatic efforts. Figures like Roger Casement used their positions to influence international policy. Casement's detailed reports on the conditions in the Congo were instrumental in swaying public and political opinion. The pressure eventually forced King Leopold II of Belgium to relinquish control of the Congo Free State, leading to significant, albeit slow, improvements in the region. The humanitarian campaigns and international outcry not only highlighted the severe human rights abuses, but also set a precedent for future global humanitarian efforts. The legacy of Morrell, Williams, Twain, and Casement lives on as a testament to the power of determined individuals and collective action in the face of injustice. Global pressure. The growing international pressure, the humanitarian campaign forced the Belgian government to intervene. In 1908, Leopold was compelled to hand over control of the Congo to the Belgian government. Belgian Congo, while conditions improved somewhat under the Belgian government, exploitation, racial segregation persisted in the Congo. Leopold's fortune. Despite the international backlash, Leopold died a wealthy man, having amassed a fortune from the blood and labor of the Congolese people. Lasting impact on Congo. The long-term effects of Leopold's rule on the Congo were profound. The destruction of communities, the psychological trauma, and the loss of millions of lives left deep scars on the region. Forgotten history. The Congo Free State atrocities have been overshadowed by other colonial abuses, and this chapter of history is often underrepresented in mainstream narratives. Recognition and reparations. Recently, there have been movements calling for Belgium to fully acknowledge its colonial past and for reparations for the people of the Congo. To summarize the creation of the Congo Free State, the brutal exploitation for rubber and ivory, the international campaign against Leopold, and the lasting legacy of these atrocities. The Congo Free State serves as a stark reminder of the dark side of imperial ambition and the human cost of unchecked power. We encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more untold stories from history on the Forgotten Chronicles.